They tried to paint it over, the scribble that you drew, with a magic marker on the wall when you were 2. There's a piece of carpet that had to be replaced, where your ice cream accident could not be erased. A jersey in the closet, 30 cycles in the wash, and 20 years did not remove the blotch of pizza sauce. To any new observer, the evidence is clean. But those who've known you longest can't unsee what they have seen. Twice blinded they are made by your dents and dings, and it's not in their interest to see unfolding wings. So, share your dreams and secrets, but this you must accept, that in the hands of strangers, you'll find them safer kept. Welcome to Building Metal, brought to you by Baird & Wilson Sheet Metal. When Rachel named her firstborn son, she gave him a name that means God will add. Her barrenness was finally over, and her hope was that Joseph would be the first in a series of more children. But she died giving birth to her next son, Benjamin. Joseph was 30 years old when he became one of the most powerful people in the ancient world. Pharaoh gave him a new name, Zaphanath-Paneah, which means something like overseer of the storehouse secrets. It was an identification of his high position, his responsibility, and his unique gift for interpreting dreams. Pharaoh also gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of high-ranking Potipharah, priest of On. And then Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. In the first 7 years, the land produced an overabundance, just as Joseph predicted. Joseph collected all the food and stored it in the cities. He stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. During this time, his wife gave birth to 2 sons. The first son he named Manasseh, which sounds like the Hebrew word for forget, because, he said, God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household. The second son was named Ephraim, which sounds like the Hebrew word for twice fruitful, because, he said, God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. From Joseph's perspective, he is finished with his Hebrew family. As far as he knows, since his own father did not even try to find him or contact him in Egypt, he must have been part of the plan to get rid of him. He had been rejected by everyone in his family. Joseph knows nothing of the bloody coat his brothers made to fool his father. Here in the great empire of Egypt, he is recognized and honored for who he is. Here, his dreams matter. His gifts are appreciated and his words are valued, not dismissed and mocked. He is who he was meant to be. The person he was, the Hebrew shepherd boy from the backwater family in Canaan, is no more. There is no one here who knows the old Joseph. And in this great kingdom, there is no one to remind him of the pain of where he came from. That world, that past, is gone. Or so he thought. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was a famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. So Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, and all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe everywhere, including the land of Canaan. Nearly 2 years after the famine began, Joseph turned 39. It was more than 2 decades since he last saw his family. They had become a distant memory until one day, 10 Hebrews from Canaan appeared before Joseph to buy grain. and they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. They could not recognize him. Joseph looked like a high-ranking Egyptian, clean-shaven, speaking a foreign language, wearing royal linen and 22 more years of hard age on his face. But Joseph immediately recognized his brothers. And on this day, when his schedule was filled with enormous responsibilities, the unscheduled past came storming into his presence. And simultaneously, the suppressed 22-year-old dream of their sheaves of grain bowing before his sheaf was suddenly being played out at his feet. Only the sheaves in the dream now have a different meaning. Seeing them bow to him in this situation, Joseph now realized their bundles of grain weren't bowing in submission to his authority. They were bowing because they were dying. And Joseph's bundle of wheat was the living sheaf that would be the source of their survival. His mind was reeling. He could exact revenge, execute justice on these wicked brothers for what they did to him. But the new interpretation of the dream prevented him. Instead, Joseph kept a poker face and pretended not to know them and spoke harshly to them through an interpreter. He accused them of being Canaanite spies. "No, my lord," they answered, "your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph insisted they were lying. After putting them in prison for 3 days, he told them that one of them must stay while the rest go and fetch the youngest one to bring back. He gave them grain to take to their starving households, but if they didn't come back with their youngest brother, there would be no more food for them. Then they said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." Reuben replied, "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." They did not realize that Joseph could understand them, because he had been using an interpreter. After hearing them talk about him, he turned away from them and began to weep. But then he came back and had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. He gave orders to his servants to fill his brothers' bags with grain, give them provisions for the journey, and to put each man's silver that they had brought to pay for the grain back in their sacks. So the brothers loaded the filled sacks on their donkeys and left. But when they stopped for the night on their journey and opened a bag of seed for the donkeys, they saw their silver was still there. It looked like they hadn't paid for the grain. The Egyptian would have reason to accuse them of being thieves. Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they reached their father Jacob, they told him about all that happened, how they were accused of being spies, how they had been treated harshly, how the cruel Egyptian had kept Simeon, that their silver was still in their bags, and how they must bring young Benjamin back with them to Egypt if they want more food. Their father Jacob said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me. My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow." Nothing could have looked worse from the perspective of Jacob. He thought everything indeed was against him, and that all of God's promises to him had been scorched by a devastating famine. But the truth was quite the opposite. His mind could not have conceived that the firstborn son of Rachel, the dreamer, was not only alive, but was at that very moment mobilizing the greatest empire on earth in Jacob's favor. Here are some tools to take with you. Number 1, pay attention to the people in your life. Greatness is often hidden in the familiar. Number 2, authority is granted as a gift by which to serve others. And number 3, don't despair before your story is over. A good and loving God is the author. We'll be back again soon with more tools from Building Metal.